And congratulations on the film, not only because of the success that it's had, but also I sat down and watched it and I absolutely loved it. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about where this journey first started with you for Devil Bean. Like, was there a moment when the idea first came about and you just had to put it down on paper?
Yeah, well, that's the thing specifically about this film is that I went into it, I just wanted to make a film that I didn't also write. So the film is actually written by the lead actor, Sam Payne, and for me that was a really important part of this process was getting to explore what it meant to direct someone else's script. So the idea for it, actually, it's a funny story, came from the fact that my mum had a coffee machine that she absolutely despised the coffee from, and she tried to sell it on Buy Swap and Sell briefly, but then eventually just put it towards the props table as like a potential prop for a movie, and the key selling point was that we could smash it. So Sam Payne, after hearing that little nugget of inspiration, he went away and he constructed this really bizarre, humorous, sort of whimsical story about demonic possession by coffee. So yeah, that's essentially where the idea for it came from.
Was there a reason why you really wanted to direct a film that you hadn't written? Like, was it just a challenge that you set yourself, or was there another reason?
It was a challenge, and specifically that's something that I do every time I go into a new film, is I set a specific aspect of the production process that I want to work on and develop. So with my past films, it might have been like, I want to learn how to do color theory and use lighting specifically in this film, so I'll focus on that. And I had always made films that I had written myself, and because for me it's such like a deep personal connection is required to the script to understand it and to know how to present it, I just wanted to see if there was a different process involved. And there was. Like, it was really a challenge for me. And it took a few weeks of sort of struggling through and trying to understand the machinations behind the dialogue before I really felt comfortable in being able to express it on film. Yeah.
Now tell us a little bit about the shoot itself. You received a grant from the Arts Restart grant from the New South Wales government, but you got hold of some Blackmagic designed pocket cameras as well. Tell us a little bit about that shoot and what it was like to use those cameras.
Yeah. So I would say the grant money, it was really amazing to have the grant money, and I actually focused that mainly on hiring a composer. So that was focused more in the post-production aspect of it. And I got most of the equipment from my mentor, Cadence Bell, who's this really generous person who has been sort of helping me throughout my growth experience in the industry. And she lent me a whole bunch of equipment, like truckloads. Bit of an exaggeration, but yeah. And one of those things was the Blackmagic camera. So it was just a really fantastic experience to be able to have access to that cinema quality, which you don't really get, just shooting on a DSLR or on an iPhone. So it just felt like a massive step up for me. And on set, because I am just shooting with myself and my parents usually as a part of the crew, it gets a bit overwhelming to have that amount of tech at my disposal, which I've never used before. But I was really lucky to have my parents and also a few other people in this community surrounding me and supporting me. And with the Blackmagic, it's definitely much easier to use than most other cinema cameras, which was really helpful for me.
So for all the young filmmakers out there that are listening at the moment, would you recommend Blackmagic cameras as cameras that they should think about using for their first films and even further ahead?
Yeah, I think there's a sense which you do sort of have to start out with something really achievable, just like your iPhone or something, which is what I started using. But when you're ready to take the step up, Blackmagic is definitely the direction to go in, because it does just make everything so much more accessible, and it's cheap and easy to use. It's sort of democratizing that level of creativity and control over the image, which cinema cameras give you, but yeah, in a way that we can actually use.
Yep. Now the big question, how did Devil Bean end up at Cannes? Tell us a little bit about that and what it was like going over for that as well.
Yeah, okay. So after making Devil Bean, I sort of chucked it out to all of the festivals that I could through Film Freeway, which is, like an online sort of festival distribution thing. And one of those film festivals was this American Pavilion Emerging Filmmaker Showcase. Like, it's a bit of a mouthful, but essentially at the Cannes Film Festival, each international place has their own pavilion, and the American Pavilion was hosting their own competition. So as a bit of a shot in the dark, I submitted to that festival and to their junior section, and my mind was sort of blown when I got in. But we decided that because it granted you the ability to go into the film festival, we thought it would be a really good chance to take advantage of that opportunity and get to immerse in the industry and experience that side of the process, like distribution and pitching, which you don't really have access to when you're just producing in your own little bubble. So it was a really fantastic experience.
Now, I know being at Cannes, at that time of year, you can't walk around a corner without tripping over a celebrity. Who was the biggest name that you saw while you were there?
Well, we went to a Q&A with Woody Harrelson, and it was this other guy from Australia that I was there with as well, and he was obsessed with Woody Harrelson. So once the Q&A finished, he was like, Jess, let's just trail him for a little while and get a selfie with him or whatever. And I was like, oh no. So we followed Woody Harrelson for a solid 15 minutes with his big intimidating bodyguards. And eventually the guy got the courage to go off and ask for a photo. But yeah, I'd say Woody Harrelson, that was probably the biggest name that we had sort of contact with.
Definitely. Now, where to now for Devil Bean, and where to now for you as a filmmaker? Is Devil Bean still going to be doing more festivals, and are you looking to go into something bigger now, like even a feature film?
Yeah, I think I'm sort of reaching the end of the festival circuit with Devil Bean. It's really been a stepping stone for me, and it's opened up a lot of other opportunities, but I'm ready to move on. And I would really like to make a feature film, but still being in school, there's the constraints of that.
Yep.
So I'm working on some more short films at the moment, which are just another chance for me to learn and explore different genres and what my voice is as a creator. But that's sort of within the constraints of school, they're school-based projects that I have to do. But from that point, after school, I'm looking for going to AFTRS, the Australian Film, Television and Radio School,
yep,
just to get some education and get a network. And feature films is where I want to be going, but the steps that I'll take to get there, I'm not too sure.
Yeah, and I can tell you, I went to film school as well, and it's one of the best experiences you can ever do. I'm still working with my friends that I met there. It's 20 years later, and we're still working together.
I'm really hoping.
Yeah,
that's so cool.
So I guess to finish off, what would your advice be to other filmmakers out there? There'd be a lot of people around your age that would be thinking, it's too early for me to do anything in the film industry, but you've proven that it's not. So what would your advice be to 15, 16 and 17-year-olds out there interested in a career in cinema?
Yeah, I think that it's sort of this big myth going around that we can't access our dream careers, or we can't be doing what we really want to be doing with our lives until we get out of school. It's not true at all. And for me, I've always wanted to be a storyteller, and just having that instinct to want to produce stories, that's been all I've needed. And I think for other people, if they have that same feeling, it's a clear sign. All you need to do is go out there and create things. And by creating things, you'll learn so much. My angle has always been with every film is to learn something new, because that's really what it's about. It's just a learning experience. So even if it's just with your iPhone and just with a group of friends, you can make a film. And then that can be a springboard for, moving up and towards the career that you really want to have in your life.